about change. We in Mijwa, like it was said, it was actually my father's dream, who after he had a paralytic stroke because of a brain hemorrhage that he had, that rendered his left arm and left leg incapacitated for life, decided to go back to the village and found that it was a village frozen in time. And imagine, he took the decision of staying back in that village in a state where there was really no medical facility at all, much uh, to the chagrin of the family who felt that he shouldn't be taking this, but he was a very, very determined man. And today, Mijwa is not only known in Uttar Pradesh, but is known all over the world as a model village. It couldn't have happened without our partners, and A2H stands bright. I'm very happy to talk about Delima, with whom we have very interesting stories, but maybe another time. And I am particularly grateful to Neeti Sandhu. Please, Neeti, get up and acknowledge yourself, who has been in charge of the project of Mijwa, and I have rarely seen anybody so dedicated and such, Neeti, really, I say salute to you, really. And, but, okay, so Neeti is wonderful, but you haven't met Gurbaz yet. I mean, I just cannot believe, like she said, that he started at the age of 12. And I was completely enchanted by how motivated this boy was. And today, you've seen some bad pictures over here, but Mijwa Sports Academy is a reality. It has a wooden floor, and so many of the students who are there are now winning awards at the national level. Forget about just in UP. And it was again a conviction of my father, who at that time believed that sports is a very empowering. At that time, it was unheard of. You thought of women and you thought of children and you thought, of course, education and all that. But sports at that time, you couldn't even envisage. And now it has become a center of such hope, and we've seen the transformation that is happening in the girls, and it really is a very what should I say, it fills us with hope to see where Mijwa has come 20 years later. But there's a little story that I would like to share with you. Once when Abba went over there, of course, he was met with a lot of resistance, and it isn't as if everything. The villagers were very suspicious of him. They thought maybe he wants to join politics, and so there were many hurdles in the way. At that time, I started working along with him, and as a young person, of course, with all my impatience, I said, don't you get frustrated when change doesn't happen at the pace you want it to? And with complete equanimity, he said, Pete, when you are working for change, remember that it's a process of transformation of the mind, a mind that has been suppressed by centuries of patriarchy, which have been internalized not only by the men and the boys who feel that they are privileged just for the sheer fact of being born male. And what is even more frightening is that patriarchy is worked in a way where women themselves, who are victims, feel that it's all right for them to have second place. So he says, when you're looking at this, it takes a very long time. And so when you are working for change, you should build into that expectation the possibility that change might not happen within your lifetime. And yet you must be convinced that if you carry on working sincerely and with passion, change will happen even though it may happen after you're gone. You know, I just cannot tell you what it did to me. It has become my mantra, and it was like as if some cloud had been lifted from my head, because that's what we have to do. We have to keep working for change, and there's no magic formula. You can't imagine that, all right, so you'll put something in and like a litmus test, it'll come out. It is going to take time. But if we understand that empowering women, and particularly the girl child, is the surest way of the country to move forward. Because it cannot be that you leave a whole community behind because of gender and then think you can move forward. You can move forward only when there is partnership between the male and the female. That's the lesson that I've learned over the years. And it happens because the I grew up in a family that believed that equality is a given. So I saw that as a child. I saw that my father was sharing my mother's duties as a homemaker, because she was a working actress and she'd be out of the house. And Abba would happily bathe me and plait my hair and take me to school. And there was no sense, because remember that time, it was believed that if a man shared in the housekeeping, वो जोरू का गुलाम है. जोरू का गुलाम है was the thing. I mean, it was really something to be looked down upon. And it was only when I was like 19 years old that I realized that what I take for granted as a given is actually an exception rather than the rule. And that's when I started working. And in this whole thing, we have realized that education, particularly education of the girl child, but not just education, it is the quality of education. It is the changing of locked minds, that a woman, a girl, is equal to a boy. And that I can see around me. I can see that girls who were very disempowered and they really believed that their place is subservient, today stand up and say, no, we are equal to our boys, our brothers. And that when I see, you know what I feel? That, my God, this change is happening. Now look at the children that she will deliver. And look at how that change will happen. And when you're working in the grassroots, it really gives you goose flesh. I really want to repeat the incident that has been referred to in the film, because it's something that has really touched my heart very deeply. So this was a village where it was commonplace to have girls married as early as 12. And however much we tried to tell them that, this is not even legal, they can get arrested if you do that, it was just, oh, but these are years of tradition, what can we do, etc., etc. Now, because of the education they were getting in the Cafe Azmi Girls' School, that mindset started changing. It took time, but it started changing. And so the girls wrote a short play themselves against dowry. They then went to Jaipur. Now remember, in the villages, girls are trapped because of lack of mobility. So they had never even come out of the village. And here they had gone to Jaipur, which in itself was a very big thing, but they won the Best Play award. And that was really something. And this was a play they had written themselves. Now this girl came back to the village and she told her principal that I'd like you to hold an assembly. And in that assembly, I want all the students, I want all the teachers, and I want you also to be there. So they all listened to her and they came. She picked up this award and she said, "This is not just an award, it is my passport to independence. On the basis of this, I will tell my parents that I have proved to you that I have worth and I will not get married before the age of 18. The story doesn't stop here. She then told that assembly, I've told this 1,000 times and I get goose flesh each time. She said, we will all take a pledge that if any girl we see who's being forced into marriage before the age of 18, we will all go and do a dharna outside her house. So not just us, the principal and the teachers will come and do it. And today there's no child marriage, not only in Mijwan, but in 40 villages around it. Now that to me is the change of mindset, the unlocking of minds that will have long term. So one has to keep working at it. But I think that if we can keep ourselves clearly that this will be a long process. You know, when people tell me, so what's your new cause? And I said, what does it mean? There is no such thing as a new cause, because when you start working with women and with children, you know that you have to make them the central force, because they are the ones who are most affected. When there's no food, when there's riots, when their houses are burned, it's the woman who has to suffer this. And there's another incident that I want to tell you, and it's not got to do with Mijwan, but I'll just tell you. There was a very bad drought in India at that time. And I went to Rajasthan with the Lions group, and then I saw this woman, and she was standing there with her 4-year-old child. So I said, can I go in? And she said, yeah. There was nothing. There was nothing in that hut. Just a little ghada of water, which was black silt. And that's what drought had done to her. And so she looked impassively at me and she said, you know, I try to put malmal and strain it as much as I can. And then I feed my children hoping they won't die because of the water that is being served to them. So I had a banana in my hand and I just instinctively gave it to the 4-year-old child. And he took the banana and he put it under his arm. So I said, but why isn't he eating the banana? And the mother said, I have trained him. He will feel hunger only once in 2 days. He will eat it tomorrow. You know, mother had trained her child to feel hunger once in 2 days. That is the reality of our villages for very many reasons. And imagine all we have to do is put our hands in our pocket and give it and transform lives. So thank you, all of you, for being here, for being supportive, for really, really, really making the voices of these children heard. So we have now, our next plan is to put up an English medium school, and we have somebody who is saying that they will help us in it, but we really need more money for that project, because whatever we have achieved, we have to achieve more. So please come forward, donate to HOH so that HOH is empowered to go ahead with their partnerships with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much.